Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Well, friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is my series in which I use tarot and oracle spreads to help me explore topics related to living an intentional life. And this topic is a little bit perhaps surprising. When you think of living intentionally, when I think of living intentionally, what do you think of? What do I think of? I think of it as a river. Now, when I think of intention, I think of it as a strong, powerful, coursing river that I am on and that all of us are all on, but we all have our own currents within that large river. Now there's the greater intention and the individual intentions, the collective intention and the personal intention, and they all interweave and wind together, but they're all moving forward very powerfully. And there are times when we notice that our movement forward is not as quick as we thought it could be, or we feel like we might be slowing down, or perhaps even feel like we're stopping. We never stop. Stopping is impossible in this universe, but we feel like we're stopping. We feel like our evolution has slowed down to a snail's pace, perhaps. And then, what do we feel? How would you feel if you began feeling that sense of things slowing down, not moving as quickly as they have been? Do we start feeling uneasy? Do we start feeling concerned that perhaps I'm more resistant than I thought I would be? Or how would we feel when things around us are not matching what we had hoped they would be? When weather patterns interfere with our plans, or when other people run off and do their own thing and leave us behind? How do we feel? How do you feel when things like that happen? Do you start questioning your ability to move with your flow of intention, or that your flow of intention is actually taking you in the direction that you want to be going? That's what this week's tarot spread and oracle spread is asking us to consider, to reflect upon. Do we always have to be moving forward? Well, yes, we do. Do we always have to be moving forward quickly? Does a slower pace automatically indicate resistance? I think those are very important questions to be asking. And that's what this week's Tarot and Oracle spread is going to ask us to dive into. So, if you're ready, let's take a look at the spread. This is a gorgeous spread. I've said it for the past 2 weeks, and it holds true today. It's a beautiful spread. The cards individually are beautiful, and they look amazingly beautiful together. Do you agree? Tell me in the comments below. So, you know, if you've been here before, that this spread is like most other spreads. There is a group of oracle cards in the center, which give us the main theme of the spread, and there are 4 inquiry cards with questions around the sides, and those questions are each answered by 1 card from 2 different tarot decks. And if you're curious about those decks, if you want to see who the creators are, there's always going to be a video clip at the end of this video, which gives you the names of the decks, the names of the creators, and as usual, there are links below if you want to go purchase one or all of these decks on your own. I do not get any money from those links. I'm just providing those links for you if you're interested and to support the creators of these gorgeous decks. So, let's take a look at that central group of oracle cards. The 3 I Ching cards of this central group of oracle cards are in succession Sui, Po, and Yu. Now, remember, I am not a native or even a studied Chinese speaker, and I'm just trying to pronounce what I see in the books, so take that into consideration. But again, Sui. Sui is lake over thunder. Po is mountain over earth, and Yu is thunder over earth. So did you notice that we had 2 earth tetragrams and 2 thunder tetragrams in this central section of the oracle cards? Earth, stability, structure. Thunder, activity, maybe noise. So Sui, lake over thunder, is trying to remind us of 2 things. One is that we cannot force other people to co-create with us. Now remember, this universe and each of our lives is a co-creative experience. We are not doing any of this on our own. We co-create everything. However, the moment we try to force somebody to create with us, we are no longer co-creating, we're dictating. And the result of dictatorships around the world are always disastrous in the long run. We don't want to become dictators. We don't want to try to force people to do what we want them to do. It's not a positive way of living, and that's definitely not living an intentional life. Instead, we want to entice, we want to inspire, we want to influence people to co-create with us, certainly, but we don't want to try to force them to do it. And that's what this card is reminding us of. We don't want to try to even force people to co-create with us. The second is, we don't want to try to force people to get interested in what we are passionate about. Yeah, it's not only the co-creative aspect of it. We don't want to try to force people to get interested in our passions, because that doesn't work. You can't force somebody to be interested in something. Have you ever tried to force somebody to be interested in your hobby? What is your hobby? Have you ever had a friend who was perhaps not interested in that hobby? Have you tried to force that friend to become interested in your hobby so you have something to do together? It doesn't end well. You can inspire them to like it with you. You can show them your passion, and maybe your passion about it can bring them closer, but you can't force them to be interested in it. So this card is also trying to remind us that sometimes our passions are not going to be very interesting to other people as they are. We might want to try to adapt our passions. Not change them, not discard them, but adapt them so that we draw more interest. It's showing us that our passions are not wrong, but perhaps we want to show them off in a different way. We want to express them in a way that we can draw people to us, get people interested in them, as interested in them, or almost as interested in them as we are. So, Sui, we don't want to force things to happen. We don't want to force people to do things, or to force people to take notice of us and what we are doing. Instead, we want to remember that worthy actions bring success. Being a dictator is not acting worthily. It's forcing people is not a worthy action. Yeah? Being true to who we are. Acting with morality, acting with equity, acting with ethics. All of that brings success. Trying to be sneaky, getting around other people, trying to force people to do things, doesn't bring success. Behaving worthily will bring success. Also, the more worthily, is that a word? The more we are worthy, the more we behave in a worthy manner, the more attention we will draw, the more we will draw people into us, and the more interest people will have in what we are doing. The purity of our attention, the purity of our passion, without needing other people's attention to it, will draw more people to us and to what we are doing. Why is that true? Why do you think that is true? Is it perhaps because when we try to force people to do something, we are being resistant? Our faith and our belief that other people want to work with us is gone. And that's a resistant state, resistant to the powerful flow of our intention. The moment we try to make somebody interested in the same thing we're interested in, it's a resistant state. We cut ourselves off from the powerful, powerful flow of intention. Instead, when we go with our flow, worthily, openly, with the powerful flow of intention, and we allow it to, we direct it in ways that we see that people might be interested in, not because we need their attention, but because we want to show it off in a different way. Because we want to broaden our expression of our passions. If we can do that, we will naturally draw more people in. And the more people we draw in, or the people that we do draw in, those are the people that will naturally co-create with us. The second card, Pole, Mountain over Earth, wants to remind us that there are times when the environment, the physical environment, the social environment, the emotional environment, the intellectual environment is not going to be completely stable. And that can be a good thing, because that instability, that disruption, that shaking up of things is often what leads to great moments of inspiration, of evolution. Because we adapt to those disruptions. And as we adapt to those disruptions, we evolve. So we don't want to try to prevent disruption. We don't want to try to force stability, because stability, enforced stability becomes stagnation. Stagnation becomes death. And death becomes the end of this universe. That's not going to happen. But is that a goal we want to aim for? Do we want to aim for controlling everything so that it is stable for us? No, we do not want that. Believe me, we do not want that. Do we want to force global warming to destroy the environment more quickly than it is already destroying it? No, we don't. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying we want to cause disruption deliberately. We don't want to cause the environment to crack apart. No. However, there are times when a hurricane is going to blow through. There are times when there is going to be an earthquake. The Earth's crust is readjusting itself. And that's a good thing. We want the Earth's crust to readjust itself. There are times when our environment, in all of those different arenas of our lives, that environment is going to be unstable. It's going to need to readjust. It's going to need to adapt. It's going to want to evolve, just as we want to evolve. And so, we can expect that there will be times of instability. There will be times of compromised, perhaps social unrest or economic upheaval. The environment will be unstable at times. We'll wake up one morning, go outside, and there will suddenly be a hailstorm, for example. railing against those moments of or periods of instability is a waste of energy, and also is futile. It's futile. You know that. So what do we do? Do we try to build a structure that will keep us safe from any influence from the environment? No, we don't. We don't want to do that because we want to be shooken up at times. Again, if we aren't shaken up from time to time, we have nothing to adapt to. Our evolution becomes much slower. Instead, what we want to do is recognize when those times of unrest, upheaval, instability are present. And what will we do? What do you think? What is the best thing to do? Do we want to run and hide in terror? If we can avoid it, no. There are other solutions. There are other solutions when living an intentional life. And remember, those times of unrest are not an indication that we are no longer living intentionally. Those moments of disruption and upheaval and topsy-turviness are probably already placed on our path towards what we want to become, to do, to have, the relationships we want to create, the jobs we want to work at, the things we want to create, the experiences we want to have. We may actually need these moments of disruption and distress to get to where we want to go. So, this card is reminding us to remain still. First and foremost, remain still. Remember, what I wish for you at the end of all of my videos is love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. That pure awareness is that moment of stillness and openness. This card is reminding us to remain still and quiet until the stability returns, until things calm down a little bit. Again, it's not telling us to go run and hide in fear. There are other options. We can still find shelter, certainly. But can you see the difference between running and hiding in fear, and cowering in the corner waiting for something to blow over, and finding a stable shelter in which we can continue to do what we're doing, in which we can observe what is going on around us outside the shelter, in trust that we're going to be okay. We are eternal beings having this human experience. We are all going to be okay. One way or the other, we're going to be okay. So instead of cowering, hiding in a corner of completely resistant state, cutting ourselves off from the powerful flow of intention, we can find shelter and open ourselves up in that shelter, in that space of stability that we create for ourselves. We can make our own stability within the chaos. That is, again, different from cowering in a corner. The third card, you, is Thunder over Earth. So, this is an interesting card because this is a card that I wouldn't necessarily have thought of as being an important thing to remember. But it is reminding us that music can draw people to us with a united heart. Have you ever been in some sort of a musical venue, a concert perhaps, or sung with a choir, or been in the midst of some musical performance or environment? Now, it could have even been a recorded piece of music in a movie, for example. But have you noticed that music brings everyone's emotions together and unites everyone in a common experience? More common than they would have in many other circumstances. Just watching a movie without any music, many people would have much more diverse emotional experiences to the movie. And even with music, some people will still have a different experience from you and I. However, that music, which we call sometimes melodramatic or a little bit sentimental, senti, the senses, emotions, sentimental. Because it works on our emotions and brings us together emotionally. So Yu is reminding us, Thunder Over Earth, that music can draw people together with the heart. And it's that emotional connection that draws support and elicits action. So remember in that first card, Sui, that we can't force people to co-create with us. We can't force people to be interested in what we're interested in either. However, Yu is telling us that along with acting and behaving in a worthy manner, that music will also bring people in concert with us, bring their interest into a heart connection with us. So, is this card trying to tell you to go out and learn an instrument? No, I don't think so. However, sound can create an emotional connection for us. Our ability to influence others often rests in the element of sound. And we can use that. We can use it not like a manipulative way of using it, but we can take advantage of that. Yeah? Use sound to bring people in to us. And there are other ways of making emotional connections. And the more emotional connections that we make, the more support we will elicit. So again, we don't want to force things to happen. We want to act in a worthy manner. We want to adapt our passions to the times that we're living in. We want to recognize that there will be times when there will be instability, and in those times of instability, we want to find shelter where we can continue to exist and observe in an open way, open to the powerful flow of our intention, and we want to reach out and connect to other people that will become like-minded people, to elicit that co-creation that we want. Because it's that emotional connection that brings that co-creative experience to life. Now we have two cards, one above and one below, the three I Ching cards. One above is the Waning Crescent. The Waning Crescent, the thing we want to put our attention towards is that there are times when the light is going to wane. Now, it doesn't have to be instability. Now, it could just be a moment of darkening. And there are going to be moments of darkening, and that's a beautiful thing. We don't want to be addicted to the light. I think sometimes I've noticed that there are so many of us who are apparently addicted to light. And when darkness arrives, they become very, very uneasy, unhappy, or disquieted. And they not necessarily desperately, but they want the return of the light because they feel something is missing. So around this time of year, right now we're heading towards the darkest day of the year in the northern hemisphere, some people are saying that they can't wait for the days to get longer again because of this addiction to light. This feeling of security in light and insecurity in the dark, which I think is a little bit sad, frankly. Because the dark is a wonderful place to exist in. Remembering that there is no absolute dark. Dark is not a thing. Dark is a blockage of light, a lessening of light. It's not the absence of light. There is nowhere in this universe where there is an absence of light. 100%. Photons get into everything. There are times that are darker and times that are lighter. And there are advantages to both, the light times and the dark times. So if we can learn to appreciate the dark, we will be so much more open to our power and the powerful flow of intention. The force of intention, yes. Intention is a force. So the waning crescent, the moving towards the darkness, towards the new moon, the dark moon. This is a time to just be. Not to act, but just be. There are times when we want to just be. We want to remain still and observe. Now this card is reminding us of that pole moment. So it doesn't have to be only in times of instability. It could be in times of darkness, or even without darkness. There are still times when we want to pause and just be and observe. Pure awareness. Let go. Let go of things, because often we begin clutching at things, clinging to things. We find ourselves attached to things without noticing it. And so in those times when we can just stop, be, observe, we'll notice those things. We'll notice those attachments that we've developed. We'll notice those things that we've been clinging to. Not allowing to be, but clinging to. And we'll be able to let go. Let go is not the same as pushing away or making them leave. We can let go of something and it will still be there. But we can let go of our resistance to it leave, our resistance to the possibility that it's going to leave. We can let go and allow it to be there. And if we allow it to be there, imagine how much more it will be able to blossom and bloom and grow and evolve. If we're clinging to something, we're also giving energy to a kind of a prison around that thing, disallowing its growth, its movement, its evolution. Yeah, our clutch makes things, well, we can't completely prevent its growth, no. However, our clutch can limit it in some ways. Whereas if we can let our hands go and relax and allow it to be as it has intended itself to be. If we can allow it to be as it has intended itself to be, it will flourish for us. Without our having to force it to flourish, without our grasping to it and begging it not to leave. It can still remain. And that's what this waning crescent is trying to remind us of. Allow things to just be and shower them with gratitude. Shower the things that drift away from us with gratitude equally to the things that remain. Because all of that has been part of our experience, part of our evolution, part of our flow of intention. So, the waxing crescent is also reminding us to give gratitude to all of that as we remain open and we just be. And forgiving. Forgiving everyone and everything. Remembering that as we forgive, we are not excusing harm. We are not excusing behaviors that were destructive. We are not allowing people to behave in ways that are violent. However, we are letting go of our trying to control them. We're letting go of the poison that we think we're dousing them with, but rather drinking ourselves. Our hate, our anger, our desire for punishment of others. All of those emotions are not harming them, but are harming us, are harming ourselves much more. And that's what the Waxing Crescent is trying to remind us of. To just be, to let go, to forgive. Because forgiveness is our way of healing ourselves. The card below is the last quarter. Again, moving towards the darkness. So the thing that we want to put our attention towards, the card above, is to just be. Just be, let go. Have gratitude and forgive. Below that is the card of unloading ourselves of burdens that are keeping us stuck. Rest. Purposefully allowing ourselves to slow down. And remembering that stillness is beneficial. Releasing worries. All of that stuff is part of that last quarter of the moon. And you notice how those two are beautifully balanced around that pole card, yeah? That pole card of finding a place of stability and riding out the storm. So on top again, we have just be, let go. And then below us, what we want to do is unload. Not only release, but there are some things we might actually want to clear away. Things that have been dragging us down. Keeping us stuck. Taking a moment to rest. Because addiction to action is a kind of resistance. If we're not able to take a moment to slow down, then we're cutting ourselves off from our power. Action for the sake of action is useless. Inspired action is magnificence. And there are times when our inspiration to act is lower, and that's okay. And so those are the times when we want to rest and do the other work, do the stillness work, because that stillness work is also part of the powerful flow of our intention. Stillness and beneficial release of things. Letting go and letting things be is above, and below, clearing away the garbage. Clearing away the anchors and the debris that have gathered around us. And the clearer we are, the more purely our song will be able to flow from our hearts and draw other people to us, like that U card. Because the music is not necessarily a do, re, mi kind of music. Our hearts sing a music. Our hearts have a rhythm. And that rhythm, purely expressed, will draw people towards us. So, we want to remember, when living intentionally, there will be times when we want to slow down and do the clearing work and let go. Find out where we've been resistant. Find out where we've been clinging, what we've become attached to. It's a very, very interesting and necessary message, I believe, in this set of cards. Now we have 4 questions to dive into. Let's take a look at that first question. The first question is, what energizes me? Which is an interesting question. Actually, all 4 of these questions I thought were a little bit startling when they first came out, before I laid the tarot cards in response to the questions. And before I sat with this spread for a while. These 4 questions were a little bit startling. Yeah? What is energizing me, evolving, movement, all of these questions, why are they here in these, around these cards of take a moment, pause, stop, let go? What's up with that? Why are these very, very active questions gathering around these very, very take a moment and stop central oracle cards? So let's look. What energizes me? And the first card that we have here is the Queen of Pentacles. Yeah? The card of nurturing, providing, charitable action. Yeah? In the card we see from the Gorgon's Tarot, we see a queen sitting with her pentacle out in nature, looking a little bit like an empress to me, a little bit like an empress card in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. She doesn't have her shield of empressness, but still, you get that vibe. And actually, the Rider-Waite-Smith Queen of Pentacles, for some people, is difficult to distinguish from the empress. I know that. I've actually been there in the past. I've got them separated in my mind now, but I've had times when, in the past, where I had difficulty separating the meanings of the two, of the Empress and the Queen of Pentacles, because their borders intertwine, I believe. So what energizes me? Nurturing other people energizes me. Caring for those around me, caring for their physical needs. Making sure everybody is cool in the middle of a potential storm. So remember, when we got that pole card, the instability, the environment of instability, caring for others at those times can actually be an energizing thing, something that we can recharge our batteries with. As long as we're not doing it the way that some people do it, which is, that's okay, you can take my food, I don't need it, I will suffer for you. That's not the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles is not the one who is suffering for other people. The Queen of Pentacles is the one who knows that they are abundant and can share their abundance in love and in trust and in the knowledge and understanding of the pure well-being that is their essence and the essence of this universe. The Queen of Pentacles, the more I share my wealth, the more wealth I have and the more I am energized. She's also the Queen of nobility and opulence. So, before we can share what we have, we want to be sure that we recognize what we have and appreciate what we have and be grateful for what we have. Not in, oh, thank God I've got this stuff, I can survive. No, the gratefulness of an open, joyous heart of, I have so much here. I am so blessed. I am so supported. I am so loved by the universe. I have all of this expression of love in the material here around me. And I am opulent. And I am so opulent that here, let me share with you. That is an energizing Queen of Pentacles. And that's what energizes us, I believe. And right next to her, we have a pine cone, which is one of the extra cards in the El Goliath deck. The pine cone is nature, the seed of life. Have you studied about pine cones or read about pine cones or heard somebody talk about pine cones, because they're a very, very interesting thing. Yeah? If you are in a part of the world where there are pine trees and you have seen pine cones, you'll know that they drop on the ground and usually they just sit there. They don't become a tree, they just sit there. If all of those pine cones actually became trees, oh my goodness, that forest would be so overcrowded it would kill itself off in a matter of decades, if not years. Those pine cones do not open and drop seed until there is a fire. Yeah? A fire comes through and those pine cones pop open and their seeds drop and begin germinating. A lot of times those pine cones need to have some destructive element there present for them to begin germinating and growing. Which reminds us again of that central pole card. Yeah? That disruption, we require that disruption for ourselves to crack open. So we want that disruption. We want the instability to occur for ourselves to crack open so that we can germinate and grow. Which is what this nature, the seed of life card is, I think, reminding us of. It's a co-creation, germination. Celebrating nature. It's also reminding us to celebrate nature. We are energized by our interaction with nature. Have you felt that before? Do you feel that on a regular basis? Do you go outside and perhaps take your shoes off and walk barefoot on the ground? Do you go outside and interact physically with trees and plants and animals around you? Do you get out of your human structures and get out into nature? And if you do you notice how much you are revitalized by that? Now, going out into the trees and the oxygen that is created by all of those trees in a forest revitalizes us physically. I mean, it's a physical thing that happens. Also, the microbiome in nature revitalizes our microbiome. I mean, there are scientific reasons for all this. It's not just woo-woo mystical experiences. Well, those are wonderful and those are also part of it, but there's also a very scientific reason for getting out into nature and interacting with it. Going to the ocean. Now, that salt air, the salt that we breathe in can clear our respiratory system. I know it does for me. So interacting with nature can actually physically revitalize us on a very, very scientific basis. And it can also bring us pure energy, more natural energy. And there's also that spiritual cleansing that we can feel because we can relax. Many of us can relax in nature. There are some of us who go out and get kind of scared. Let's remember that. There are some of us who are afraid of going outside. And to you, I am not speaking directly. To you, there are other things that need to be happening for you. If going outside your front door is a frightening experience, I'm not speaking to you right now. However, for those of us who can go outside, who are not frightened by being away from human structures like buildings and cities, who can trust in the well-being of nature. Getting out into it brings so much more well-being back into our lives. And that's another way to energize ourselves. Interacting with nature will revitalize and heal us. And if you notice that you do not feel revitalized going out into nature, if you go out into the forest and you shut down because you're worried about insects, you're worried about dirt, you're worried about other things that you don't worry about inside your home, then that is a signal to us that maybe there is something that needs to be looked at. And perhaps you might want to seek counseling around that. Because truly, getting out into nature for most of us, some of us have medical conditions, not speaking to those people. Some of us have emotional issues, not speaking to those people. Some of us have agoraphobia, not speaking to those people. You people, I love you people. I'm not trying to other you, but this message right here, right now is not you. Yeah? To be revitalized by nature, we need to find a different path for some of us. However, for those of us who do not have some limitation to our interaction with nature, get out there. Make time to get out there. So, we have two answers that flow beautifully together. Interact with nature, revitalize. As we are revitalized, share. Like the Queen of Pentacles. Revitalize, share. Experience the abundance of nature and share. That is how we revitalize ourselves and what energizes us. It's a beautiful way to live. Let's look at the second card. Before I get into the second card, I wanted to bring up something that I just thought of as we were shifting from section to section. Yeah? If we can't go out, there is always another way. We can bring nature in. Now, for the homebound, for those who cannot leave their homes, bringing nature in is always a possibility and can be almost equivalent to going out into nature. Yeah? Bring plants inside of our homes. Have an animal companion with us. Having both of those, plant and animal, living with us in our homes can also be a way to interact with nature and get that, at least a portion of that revitalizing energy for us. Do you have a furry friend or a scaly friend or scales, fur, feathered friend that you interact with? What some people would call a pet, or pets? Do you have the one or many of those? That's a way to interact with nature. And do you feel revitalized by that interaction? If you do, that's wonderful. If you don't have one, get one. Find a companion, whatever that is. Be it an insect, be it a four-legged furry creature, be it a two-legged feathered creature, be it a reptilian kind of creature, whatever. Find your companion. Find your familiar or familiars and interact with them to re-energize. And then also bring plants inside the home. Having a plant or many plants inside the home also does a lot of that. Helps clean the interior atmosphere for us. And we get that energetic interaction, even with houseplants. You say you don't have a green thumb? There are plants that are just for you. There's something that my grandmother used to call a mother-in-law's tongue, but it's a plant that you have to work really hard to kill. Now, there are plants that are appropriate for you. Find some, bring them inside your house if you can't get outside. Even if you can get outside, bring them inside your house. I found having plants inside my office made my space my space. Okay, let's move on to question 2. What is evolving? We have 2 answers. The 9 of Pentacles. Beautiful card. We have in this, the El Goliath deck, we have, I believe it's a doe. Maybe it's a fawn, but I think it's a doe. And lotuses. The 9 of Pentacles. In the El Goliath deck, this is it is a doe, yes. The tranquil spotted doe is the subtitle of this card. The Tranquil Spotted Doe is the card of abundance. Abundance. It's a card of luxury and prosperity and refinement. Yeah, that base of the previous Queen of Pentacles card. Yeah, this is that base in its fullness. Recognizing and appreciating the abundance that is here, luxuriating in the abundance that we have available to us. We have so much air to breathe. We have so much water, most of us have, so much water to drink. We don't want to compare my abundance and your abundance. You might have a whole lot more stuff than me. I might have a whole lot more stuff than you. This isn't a competition. The moment we get into the competitive, who has more, then we've lost all sense of abundance. Abundance is not because of ownership either. You don't have to own something for it to be part of your abundance. Now, I work in a beautiful campus. I don't own this campus, but I feel my abundance being here. I live in a gorgeous country with so many trees and rivers and mountains and ocean. I don't own all of that, but that is part of my abundance. What is your abundance? Where do you see abundance in your life? Where, once you cut away that idea of I need to own it for it to be mine, my experience, what does your abundance look like? Now, maybe you're not completely happy with your environment. Maybe you're living in a place that you consider to be dirty, noisy, aggressive, perhaps, or a place full of negative energy. That's possible. It's definitely possible. And maybe we want to place a different place to live on our current of intention. I mean, that might be one of your intentions in the future, to find a different place. But can you find places that are not where you're living, that you can be in which you feel your abundance? A park, a library, the ocean, a forest. Maybe getting to a forest is impossible, but if you live in New York City, there's Central Park. There are oceans all around you. I've never lived in New York City, but I've seen pictures. I've seen pictures. I'm a West Coast boy, San Francisco. I've lived in dirty areas of San Francisco myself, and there's always a place just a little way away from my home that I could go to that made me feel opulent. So where are those spaces for you that you can inhabit for portions of your day and feel your abundance, feel the luxury, the prosperity, natural prosperity, and also human, socioeconomic prosperity. Notice the refinement around you. Now, we're not living in caves. Are you living in a cave? If you are living in a cave, there's a refinement in that cave, I'm sure. But if we're not living in a cave, there's also refinement in our space, and we can create refinement without investing a lot of money. We can create that. It could just be stripping stuff away and cleaning it out, stripping it down to its bare bones. There's a refinement to that as well. It might not be the ideal home that you're envisioning and is on your path as you move forward with intention, but you can create what you can create now at this moment to give your sense of feeling of refinement. Independence. The Nine of Pentacles is a card of independence and self-sufficiency because we can do it for ourselves. We can do what we need for ourselves most of the time. And if we can't do it, we can allow people to do for us and still find some portions of independence, some portions of self-sufficiency. Find what you can do for yourself. There's always going to be something there. If you're watching this video, you are able to do something for yourself. Find out what that is and build from there. What can you do for yourself? Where can you find your independence? There is that thing. And the moment we find at least some of that, we can build on it and grow and embody our Nine of Pentacles-ness. And then the next card, we have the Hanged One, my favorite card in the deck. Yeah, the subtitle or the sub-name of my channel and myself is the Hanged Man in the Moon. I love the Hanged Man card and I love the Moon card. So the Hanged One is the Hanged Man in the Gorgon Tarot. The Hanged One, pause. Reminding us of the Poe card again. Pause, surrender, let go. Now, also reminding us of the Waning Crescent and the last quarter cards. Let go. And if we do that, if we pause, we surrender, we let go, our eyes can open. And we can get a new perspective. We might even be able to prophesy. Some people see the Hanged Man as a card of prophecy, which was a surprise to me. I don't usually read it that way, but that's possible. For some people, it's the card of grace, because the Hanged One, the Hanged Man, has a halo around their heads usually. The card of grace. In that moment or that time of surrender, of pause, of letting go, we can experience grace as well as a new perspective. So that's what's evolving as we stop. Our understanding of our abundance and the prosperity that is available to us is evolving. Our perspective is evolving. Our grace is evolving. In those moments of pause, in those moments of letting go, all of that can happen. Let's take a look at the third question. The third question asks, where is movement needed? And again, this question surprised me when we've got all of these cards about stop, pause, let go. Where is movement needed? And so the two answers to this card, to this question, this inquiry, are the Eight of Wands and the King of Pentacles. There are a lot of pentacles in this spread. Did you notice? We had the Queen of Pentacles, then we had the Nine of Pentacles, now we have the King of Pentacles. Answers to each one of these questions includes a pentacle. Yeah? So there's a material, physical aspect to all of this. And part of our well-being. It's asking us to notice and observe and appreciate and give attention to our well-being as well. So again, the Eight of Wands. Yeah, looks like a star in this Gorgon's Tarot, doesn't it? Yeah, in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, there are 8 wands all either shooting up or coming down, all in the same direction. Here we have 8 wands all surrounding a central point. And they could all be going towards that central point, perhaps, but they look like a star, don't they? And when I think star, I think the star card, I think hope. I think finding a direction, finding our North Star, a path. So where is movement needed? Our movement, the movement that is needed is in the direction of our North Star. It's in the direction of the current of our intention, of course. So the Eight of Wands is the card of movement. Where is movement needed? Movement is needed in the movement area of our life. Acceleration. We want to accelerate. We want action. We want vigor. We don't want to force it. But in those moments of pause and stillness and observation and letting go and appreciation of what is and our sense of luxury, we don't want to stay there. I mean, we do want to stay there. We want to bring that with us, but we don't want to stop. Because stopping is impossible in this universe. Even if you are immobile, what we call immobile, yeah, have no use of your arms and legs, you are unable to move. Even if you are immobile, you are not immobile because we are on a planet which is rotating. We are on a planet which is rotating and orbiting a sun. And that sun is also moving around our galaxy. And our galaxy is also shooting at incredible speeds through the universe. We are moving, not relatively, but we are moving at speeds that are beyond our imagination. We just don't notice it because those speeds are constant. We are in motion. There is no way we can stop in physical bodies. There is no way we can stop. We have to die to be able to stop. So stopping is tantamount to death, really. So we don't want to stop completely as we do all of those things, as we let go, as we remain still and quiet. It's not stopping, remaining still. That remaining still is a temporary state. That's not where we want to live the rest of our lives. So as we are still, we want the movement that is needed is the next step when the time is right. We don't want to force it, but when the time is right, we want to start moving. We want to accelerate again in alignment with ourselves. The Eight of Wands is also a card of alignment with purpose. Yeah? My human mind and my eternal, non-physical consciousness, alignment. When all of that is aligned and that moment of start moving again comes, then we want to move. Now, we don't want to struggle against conditions, but we want to move when the time is right, when we are inspired, when our alignment indicates movement, motion, forward. And it's fast-paced change, yeah? We can expect perhaps after that upheaval and that unrest, when things calm down, we can perhaps anticipate that there will be fast-paced change after that. Maybe not as fast as we hope. And when we think of grand things like social movement, social evolution, that never happens as quickly as we hope it will. For some of us. For some of us, it happens too quickly. Yeah? Let's take the idea of Vatican II for the Roman Catholics. Vatican II was an upheaval in the Roman Catholic Church. And for some people, everything changed and the church was no longer recognizable and it was too fast, too sudden, and too much. For others, the changes are slow coming. For others, it's when are we going to be able to get this decision fully enacted in the Roman Catholic Church? Yeah, the Vatican II Council was a very radical set of decisions and ideas and inspirations from Spirit. And it has not been fully manifested yet. So for some of us, we don't see swiftness of movement. What we see is we take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, and 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. So each of us has our own perspective, right? 8 of Wands, fast-paced change for some. And right next to that, we have the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles, in the El Goliath deck, it's the Aztec Hawk Warrior. And I haven't completely wrapped my mind around what he's trying to say with that. However, the King of Pentacles is the card of wealth, the card of security and abundance. Again, recognizing our abundance, recognizing that we have what we need and we are blessed with abundance. It's a card of discipline and powerful enterprise. Yeah, we want to have the discipline to keep doing what we have intended for ourselves to do. We want to have the powerful enterprising spirit that will be able to, remember, adapt our passions according to the times. Evolve our passions along with the times. That's a kind of enterprising spirit that was indicated in that first card, the Sui card of the I Ching. It's the card of being established as well. Yeah? Established and enterprising. That's the King of Pentacles. So we want to have that power, that energy, that movement, that in alignment, movement in alignment, not forcing our way forward, but movement in alignment. And establishment and enterprising spirit as well. And all of those things are where movement is needed for each of us. Even if we feel like we've already embodied our inner King of Pentacles, we still could use a little bit more movement in that area because there is no end to our evolution. Even if we feel like we're moving forward at a pace. Now we could still use some evolution in that field as well, in that area as well. Let's look at that fourth card. So the last question is, what is true for me? And let's see what this progression has brought us to. Yeah? We started with remembering that we don't want to force things to happen. We don't want to force people to work with us. And that sometimes there are going to be moments when our environments are unstable, and we want to find shelter where we can feel secure enough to open ourselves up and observe. Notice that our song can play from our hearts, and in that song we can draw people to us. And as we draw people to us, we can evolve our passions along with the times. But still, we want to remember there are times when we want to stop. Yeah? We want to stop. We want to observe. We want to let go. Yeah? Open, unclasp our hands and let things go and notice things as they are and allow things to be as they are and feel gratitude and forgive and to let go of the things that have been, that we have built up around us, the baggage we call it, that baggage that we've been dragging around with us, the anxieties, the irritations, the blame, the guilt. Let go of all of that. So we got that state. And then we think about what energizes us. What energizes us is nature, and our noticing of our abundance and interacting with nature gives us energy. Yeah, which is what we want in those times when things seem to be unstable around us. We want to be able to feed ourselves, feed our energy to revitalize ourselves. So what is evolving? As we feed ourselves, as we are re-energized, we can start evolving. What is evolving is that sense of our abundance, our luxury, the refinement, our independence and our self-sufficiency. All of that can evolve as we are in this state of stillness. And as we are still, our grace and our new perspectives evolve as well. And as we are evolving, then we can start thinking about movement. Yeah? We move, we find our alignment, and we can then start moving towards, in the direction of our North Star, with the powerful flow of intention. We can feel our ability to create, our enterprising nature, our ability to create, and our discipline and our ability to work with other people. That's also the King of Pentacles, able to work with many different kinds of people. As we own our establishment. And now we have, so what is true for me? And here we have two court cards, both of them knights, the most active cards of each of their suits. Now we've gone from movement needed to what is true for me. I am the active one. I am active. And we have two different forms of activity that are true for us. One of them, of course, again, the Ace of Pentacles. I'm sorry, the Knight of Pentacles. The other, the Knight of Wands. Fire and earth, both of those are true for us. The Knight of Wands, in the El Goliath deck, the kind-hearted moose. Okay, so the kind-hearted moose. The Knight of Wands is the natural-born leader, which was indicated in all of those oracle cards at the beginning, that in all of this, we are natural-born leaders who don't need to force people, who don't need to coerce people, who do not need to try to make people be interested in us. We are leaders by our inspiration, by our being able to inspire. We are ones who have a grand vision and are moving to long-term success with energy, with our flow of intention. This is the noble and honest Knight of Wands. The creative, active Knight of Wands, the one of fire and passion. And right next to him, balancing him out perfectly, or her out perfectly, or them out perfectly, is the Knight of Pentacles, which of all of the knights is the slowest moving. The Knight of Pentacles, steady work, productivity, methodical, rational action, stable, reliable, routine. So we've got noble and honest and stable and reliable. Those are both true for both of us, for all of us, for all of us. We have grand visions, long-term success, fire and passion, and steady work, routine, methodical action, rational thought, rational action. Now, we've got both of those elements in us. And it's with both of those knights working in concert within us that we become the most successful. Our powerful fire of the Knight of Wands moves us forward. The Knight of Pentacles keeps us on course, keeps us doing the daily tasks that allow us to keep moving forward. Yeah? For some people, I think this becomes a push me, pull you. Yeah? Want to go forward? No, I have to do this. Want to go forward? No, I have to do this. But it doesn't have to be that way. These two knights can work together. Yeah? The fire of the Wands Knight can energize the Pentacle. The Pentacle Knight can give grounding, the necessary grounding for the Knight of Wands, because the Knight of Wands can just take off and burn a trail that is sometimes uncontrolled. The Knight of Pentacles brings that fire down to earth so it becomes useful, directed, focused. And that's true for all of us. We've got both of those knights in us. And those knights will find expression once everything is calmed down. So when things are unstable, when things are dark, when we feel our insecurity. And that is going to happen. That is going to happen from time to time. We don't want to resist it because we want to remember that it's those times that are the sparks of our evolution, that are the causes of our growth. We don't want to try to fight against them because that's one, wasted energy, and it's also going to disrupt us even more. It's going to drain us of our ability to take care of ourselves. It's going to also cut us off from the powerful flow of intention. Instead, what we do, we find a place. We find our space where we can feel open and free. And we do all of this work so that we're ready when things calm down to shoot out of the gate. Well, not shoot out of the gate uncontrolled, but leave the gate with great passion and with great focus, balancing the nights of fire and earth. Integrating the nights, even better, integrating the nights of fire and earth together, because we can do it. Friends, what do you think? Does this make sense to you? Has this meant something to you? If it has, hit that like button. I'd like to see that this has had meaning for some people. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'd love to see that you are getting notifications that I've uploaded videos so you can check out the next ones. Hit the alarm bell if you haven't. And share this with anyone who you think might be interested in it, who might get benefit from it. And comment below. I would really love to hear from you. How do you feel about the dark? How do you feel about those times of disruption? Have you been able to find your space in times of disruption and an environment that's unsettled? Have you been able to find your space to clear out and do that work? I'd love to hear from you. And remember, in just a moment, there will be a short section explaining and telling you about the decks that we were just looking at together. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.